Mr. Nagin, pleased to have you on the show. Welcome.
It is good to be here, and it's wonderful to be with you, and I appreciate you having me on the show, even though I cannot speak Flemish.
No, but that's quite okay. Now, you were mayor of New Orleans between 2002 and 2010. The town is also called the Big Easy. Where does that come from?
Well, it's kind of a place that, people don't really, sweat things a lot. They all walk around, they're enjoying life. We have great food, great music. We're the birthplace of jazz. So, people don't really stress a lot unless there's a hurricane coming.
Right. Jan, have you ever been to New Orleans?
No, Nashville is the nearest I ever went.
You have to come visit.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never been to New Orleans, but I'm inspired by New Orleans music.
Really?
By second-line music.
You like second-line music?
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, that's one of our indigenous music forms besides jazz. New Orleans was also the first place to have a live opera in North America.
Okay.
So we have a lot of different distinctions in our city.
Now, last June, you published a book called Katrina's Secrets.
Yeah.
What's the most important secret you wanted to reveal?
Well, the main thing I was trying to accomplish with the book is to take people back to when Katrina hit and give them an insider's view from my perspective, what it was like to be a mayor. And I revealed a lot of different things. The decision to make to call for a mandatory evacuation, the tussle that was going on between the President Bush and Kathleen Blanco.
Now, about the mandatory evacuation, you ordered this evacuation 24 hours before Katrina hit the city. You've been criticized for that.
I've been criticized for a lot of things.
A lot of things, among the many things.
A disaster is something where the mayor or whoever is closest to the action takes a lot of heat.
Yeah.
But, I call that mandatory evacuation because Katrina was a very deceptive storm. And it wasn't until that point, 24 hours, that she actually revealed that she was coming for New Orleans.
Right.
And I could have called it a little bit earlier, but it was the first mandatory evacuation ever in our 300-year history. So I wanted to do it right.
Yeah. I gather not all citizens were willing to leave the city.
Well, we got about 96% of all the citizens out of the city of New Orleans and out of harm's way. Can you imagine Brussels? Can you evacuate Brussels if you had to in 24 hours?
Michiel wel.
I'm not quite sure about that.
Well, that's what we had to do.
Yeah. You said 96% of the people left. What about the 4% that stayed?
The 4%
why did they
stay? A lot of different reasons.
I hear pets were also an important reason for people to stay.
You've done your homework. People told us after the storm that they wouldn't leave because they didn't want to leave their pets behind so that they could suffer. So subsequent evacuations, we have a pet evacuation process that we developed.
Yeah. Where were you during the storm?
I was in the city. I was in City Hall initially. Then City Hall started to sway. And then I moved to the Hyatt Regency, which was next across the street from New Orleans. This was a big storm.
Yeah. The strange thing is because at first you thought that New Orleans had dodged the bullet.
Well, that was the initial reports, but then the levee started to break.
Right.
And, if you know anything about New Orleans is almost surrounded by water. The highest levels are near the water, and the city has kind of subsided, the soil has subsided. So it's a big bowl. And when the levees breached, the bowl filled up, and we had water as high as 7 meters in some places.
Were you taken by surprise when the levees broke?
I was taken by surprise just from the whole event. The levees breaking, we had utilized all our resources. I saw dead bodies in the water.
Yeah, the sight of dead bodies in the water must have been devastating.
Well, just think about your city. Just think about this city. If something like that would have happened and you would have had to view those types of things, how you would have reacted, it was tough.
Yeah. In the aftermath of the storm, people felt totally abandoned and reacted very angrily.
Mother is 83 years old. She's in dire need of her heart medication. There's no medical services here.
No food, no water. I mean, a bare necessity.
When we get nothing,
they won't even bring water. They won't bring food. Where's FEMA? Where's the mayor?
Where's the mayor? That was the time when we saw those images that everyone else in the world thought And this is America. How's that even possible?
Well, that was the thing that was really disappointing for me. You know, we had always planned that if the big one hit, we would hunker down for 3 days and the cavalry would come, our federal and state government. And we ended up staying without resources like those people were saying for 7 full days in America. It was quite surprising.
Yeah. One striking story, I heard that amidst the calamity, you went back to rescue the fish of your little daughter?
Yeah, before the storm, my daughter was getting ready to evacuate. She had gotten a party favor, which was a fish, and she gave me the responsibility of watching the fish. So every night I would come in at 2 or 3 in the morning and feed this fish that was in a hot hotel room with no air conditioning.
No air.
Yeah. But I kept it alive, and I delivered the fish to her at the end of the 2 weeks.
Yeah. Things got worse. People started looting in the midst of chaos. Would you say that this looting was legitimate since people were left in the lurch?
You know, initially, and you saw this in Haiti and you're seeing it in other disasters, initially looting is about people trying to survive.
Right.
And that happened in New Orleans, but pretty soon the looting got opportunistic. People who were drug addicts or who were criminals started to do what they do, and they took a lot of things that they shouldn't have taken.
You learn a lot about human nature in this period.
I learned a lot about disasters. Disasters bring out the best and the absolute worst in people. And I just hope that, this country is thinking about if the worst case, if you had your Katrina, what would you do? You have a coast like we have a coast. Ours is eroding. We're trying to build it back up. And I strongly recommend that you do what you have to do today, because when a disaster hits, it's too late.
It's always too late. Let's talk about President Bush for a while, because it took him some time to actually visit New Orleans. And when he finally arrived, you weren't really pleased. Here we see President Bush comforting people. And the voice we hear is you raging on the radio.
They don't have a clue what's going on down here. They flew down here one time, 2 days after the doggone event was over, with TV cameras, AP reporters, all kind of goddamn, excuse my French, everybody in America.
I'm a cusser, so you have to excuse me.
You were really angry.
I was really upset. That was probably at day 4.
Right.
And we were just about out of everything in those shelters of last resort. So I took it upon myself to kind of lash out. And, you know, in a way it was bad, but in a way it was good, because after that, things started to happen.
Things started moving. Yeah. You called Air Force One a pimp mobile. What do you mean by that?
You know, the 5th day, there was a big meeting on Air Force One I had never been on. And they told the president, look, the mayor hadn't taken a full shower, a hot shower in 5 days. And they allowed me to go in his quarters and take. That's some kind of plane, let me tell you.
Yeah.
That is the way to travel, if you ever want to travel.
You said in your book, you write, it was destiny that I was mayor of New Orleans when Katrina hit.
Now, I believe in destiny, and I really do. It's my destiny that I'm here talking to you today, and I'm in Belgium. So I really believe in that. So, you know, for me to be a non-politician, this was my first time being mayor. So I was able to focus on the critical things that it would take to bring New Orleans back. And I didn't worry about polls because I wasn't a career politician. So that's what I meant by it was my destiny.
During this whole period, what kept you going? What did you personally cling to?
Well, it was just the love of my city. I mean, New Orleans is a very unique place. It's a place that's like no other city in America. And I was determined to do whatever it took to bring it back. You know, if I had to work nonstop, I was going to do it. But that's what kept me going, to bring that city back.
And how's the city doing now?
The city's good. I mean, it's about 85% recovered. We're the fastest growing city. We've got $26 billion worth of construction that's going on, a state-of-the-art hurricane evacuation system. The jazz is good. The food is great. New Orleans is on its way back.
Yeah, and whatever happens, New Orleans seems to be able to regenerate on music. Symbolic funeral for Katrina. Does this symbolize the New Orleans spirit?
I think it does, and at that particular point in time, the city was kind of in the doldrums. It was really depressed. And we had to put Katrina behind us. So we did what we normally do. We held a jazz funeral with a second-line band, and we put Katrina away forever.
Yeah.
That's magic.
We should do more of that.
Yeah.
You're going to have a jazz funeral here?
Well, that's the thing. Sometimes, me and my band, we play on a funeral with a friend, but we always do, like, sad music. I think once we did a happy song. Als onkel Bob doodging, vrolijke vrienden. But we should play second-line music. I mean, that's good for the soul.
Well, you know, that jazz funeral, the music starts out real somber, and by the end of the parade, it's upbeat, and it's really celebrating life. And that's what we're doing in the city of New Orleans.
That's the ritual we need. That's the ritual we really need. I mean it.
Now, since May 2010, you're no longer mayor of New Orleans. What are you doing now?
Well, I'm traveling around the country, just around the world, really, just like I'm here for a Congress tomorrow. And people are calling me to talk about the Katrina experience because there's a lot of lessons to be learned. We didn't do everything right, but we didn't do everything wrong. So we're sharing this,
but you learned
this story.
A lot.
We learned a lot. Now, my goal is to not have anything like that ever happen again in any city in the world. So I share my experiences.
And that's on the conference tomorrow. It's about superstorms. It's organized by our Flemish minister, Hilde Krevits. What are the chances of us being hit by a superstorm?
Well, unfortunately, the trends are not good. In the United States, there's been over 400 major disasters since Hurricane Katrina. And around the world, you look at disasters, and they're increasing. So you're on the bad side of the equation. You're ripe for a 100-year storm. You haven't had one in 58 years. So the odds are working kind of against you. So that's why I'm here to kind of share our experience, and hopefully you will work on your coastline to make sure that you have that extra protection in case a bad storm comes.
We hope the same. Thank you very much for this interview, Mr. Ray Nagin.